This video is brought to you by, no, this video is sparked by, no, um, so I've been going on my social media, um, quite interesting algorithms these days. Yet, I want to kind of blabber or when I say blabber, that means I don't mean to come off venting, so it's here and there. I don't mean to be all over the place. Yet, as a American citizen, I have my own, like any other human being or any other person. I have my own interests. I have my own beliefs. I have my own followings, and so in America, I would be considered a black man or a black male or African American or however you will or however you have it. I like to reference this one day some months ago. I went into a excuse me. I went into a Dollar Tree. It was in Farmington Hills, Michigan, so it's not too far away from Detroit City. And as a person, he was about 6 foot, 6'2". He had on a T-shirt. He would be identified by the average person as a black man. Yet his shirt had an Egyptian eye on it, and it read, "I am not black." To me, that goes to like when Kanye go, no more living for the culture with nobody's slave. So it just I kind of embrace that. So I'm like, I'm not alone. I really don't. So it's the consideration of I say I'm a student of life, SOL, like a son. Bruce Lee would express, ultimately all type of knowledge means self-knowledge. Sometimes I would express, self-knowledge needs all type of knowledge. So in this interview, Pierre Burton asked Bruce Lee, do you see yourself as a something like, do you see yourself as an American or a Chinese, something like that? Do you see yourself as an American or a Chinese or something? And he expressed, do you know how I like to see myself? As a human being. So then, I myself, I'm into Buddhist practices. I study and embrace in the area of Taoism, or I have this book here. I believe this is the basis, Tao Te Ching, Stephen Mitchell translation, Tao Te Ching or Tao Te Ching. And in the book, it expresses colors blind the eye, sounds deafen the ear, flavors numb the taste. So again, colors blind the eye, sounds deafen the ear, flavors numb the taste. It also expresses in the area of giving up all concepts, judgments, and desires. Colors blind the eyes, sounds deafen the ear, flavors numb the taste. Gives up all concepts, judgments, and desires. So then, in school, I'm 31, I just turned 31. In school, they teach you so many subjects, from elementary school, middle school, high school, college, of course, so many different subjects. So anywhere from American history, world history, social studies. So ever since 2018, I've endeavored in my personal interests of areas of study without going to college or seeking a certificate or a career path. Kind of do what I embrace as independent studies or genuine general studies. So when I consider, or I go into the space of evolution or world history or American history or linguistics, so then, when I say, as a human being, I just so happen to be born at a time where the English language exists, considering the English language hasn't always been here, and human beings have inhabited the continent, the world, the earth, the planet, since before the English language derived. So sometimes how I look at it is, if you consider like a horizontal timeline and you right now consider 2026, then consider 2025, year 2000, year 1950, year 1900, year 1850, year 1800, year 1750, year 1700, year 1600, 1400, 1300, 1200. Am I saying this correctly? Yeah. So then it goes to like the BCE, and so on and so forth. So it's the consideration of, well, the internet has, or the World Wide Web, or the internet has merely existed no more than what, if it's been since the late 1900s or early 2000s, no more than 30 years. So then the consideration is, if you consider automobiles, aircraft, automobiles rather, aircraft, smartphones, technology. So we're at a pretty abundant time period of the human experience at this part and or day and age of evolution. So then, when I express from Tao Te Ching, colors bind the eye, sounds deafen the ear, flavors numb the taste, gives up all concepts, judgments, and desires. Really not putting too much of a stamp or power to such concepts. Like, there's certain words I don't like in the English language. Mind you, there's hundreds, if not thousands, of different languages. So I don't like the word perfect. I feel like it kind of generates or creates distortion in the sense of, well, what people term as God or the Creator, however a person could acknowledge it or term it, it made all existence, from the sun to the cosmos to the water to the fishes to the mammals to the insects to humans. So if you acknowledge, okay, the planet was here first, the Earth was here first. So if you look at a mountain, how many of them are identical? If you look at rocks, if you look at trees, how do you term, or how do you define the word or concept perfect? It's a man-made concept that has a definition and or meaning. So with that meaning or definition comes feeling. I don't like the word fat. I don't like the word ugly. I don't like any different words or concepts that kind of distort reality or have a negative connotation that has a negative influence over one person or another. So then I say, well, I'm expressing no self is self, meaning I do not care what I look like. You can look at my Instagram page. You can look at my TikTok page. I don't care what music I have recorded. I don't care what wardrobe or clothing or knit or clothes that I have on. So then I get to acknowledging America, because nowadays we have the ability to acknowledge our surroundings. Rather acknowledge outside of the diameter and the radius of our local areas. Meaning, you go to World Wide Web, you go on the internet, you can go to YouTube, one place or another, and you can see even live videos, people in Russia, people in Asia, people in South America, any given country where they have internet access, and you can acknowledge if they're doing a vlog, if it's a documentary, and you can see these different ways of life or operations of society and or civilizations. So then, in America, what I acknowledge, and it doesn't bother me at all. Okay, so it's just that I feel as if I don't like to victimize myself. I refrain from it and really don't. Yet I'm a part of this acknowledgement. So if the consideration is, if you watch the movie Like Mike with Shad Moss or Bow Wow and Jonathan Lipnicki, Brenda Song, on the cover art you'll see Bow Wow, and you'll see Jonathan Lipnicki, and there's another cover art where it's like the NBA players. So then to me, that's like, okay, it'll be like Lil Wayne and Eminem, or Wiz Khalifa and MGK, or Chris Brown and Jack Harlow, or Chris Brown and Justin Bieber. You never seen them side to side. So in school, they teach you about in America, like the concept of racism. And me personally, I must express that I don't think that there's I don't problemate. It's probably not the word. I don't make a problem out of racism. I believe that if you consider the root word race, it's as if being in competition. So if it's whether it's be connected to being supreme, whether dominant, or whatever can be connected to it, I respect it because it's still community connected. Because if there can be an LGBTQ community and they can be close and tight knit, and there be a gay parade or something, then there could be a group of people if they're sneakerheads or music heads. So there's any space of common ground or mutual value can come together and become a unit, a force, community or whatsoever. So I'm not going to be problematic about the concept of racism. Yet then, what I acknowledge as a human being, and I could be wrong, I'm diagnosed with psychosis. I'm a psychiatric patient. I've been diagnosed with psychosis and schizophrenia. I may sound crazy. Yet then, the consideration is, it's one thing, the concept racism. Yet then there's sexism. The concept exists, and then or the reality exists, and then there's colorism. So, at times, I tell my as well, Tupac was saying, I don't know if this is it black and white, quiet and loud, and then Suge Knight would express, it's not black and white, it's young and old, young, old money, young money, the elders, the youth. Any given situation can be a part of reality and or it's possible, right? So then, the consideration is, give me a moment. The concept when I say sexism, colorism, is the black and white, right? So would be considered, in different surveys, it is like not Hispanic, not Hispanic, black, white, Asian American, one thing or another. In American data or statistics, it doesn't really put biracial or multiracial as a in a lot of surveys. It's not there. In America, there's a lot of mixed what would be considered multiracial or mixed or biracial people in the country, whether it be a black or African American father, an American and a white mother, or vice versa, a white father and a black mother. So then, when I acknowledge, right, consider the concept race, and it's like, okay, let's race, let's have a race. It's almost like a competition, it be with the spirit of play, it be for fun, and other times it could be very competitive, So then, I consider, as an American, as a human being, growing up in America, I see these patterns. In school. At one point, they would teach how, at one point during slavery or shortly after slavery, around the time when women were fighting for rights because they didn't want to be in home, they didn't want to be housewives, and these things that were expressing how madams, like certain particular black women would be favored, or how mulattoes, if it's certain tone or complexion, people would have such privilege. Now, I listened to this B.O.B. song, and it said, light skin N-word, dark skin N-word, don't mean S when the light man hit whatever. Like when the government hits you, it don't mean nothing or something. So then it'd be like, it's one thing if 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 it would be an issue at one point in time with what they call racism. All you know, white people considering America, they'll like make it a white thing. White people against black people, or towards black people. Yet then, if you go into the space of the concept of colorism, it expands outside of black and white. So I'd be like, okay, now it's one thing they say of a red bone, yellow tail, or red bone, or if a person is mixed or light skinned or one thing or another. So then, so you put up this wall in America. I don't know how it works in other countries because I know in Russia there's biracial people and mixed people. I know in Germany there's biracial and mixed people. I know in Australia there's biracial and mixed people. I know in Canada there's biracial and mixed people. That would in hindsight, that's black and white. Yet there it's not that, because in Russia they're not white or American, they're Russian. In Germany they're not, they're German. So it could be African and German, or African and Russian, Nigerian and this, or and if it's Asia it'd be African and Japanese or something. So then in America, where you turn on your TV and you see every crayon in the coloring, you see every crayon in the crayon box. Whether you turn on the NBA, whether you turn on the NFL, whether you turn on sports, whether you turn on music, especially cinema and film, you'll see, turn on the Disney Channel, turn on or Nickelodeon. It doesn't matter what station you see, often, or half the time you see, shows where there's black and white and different complexions, or however you will, or however you have it. So then I'll be like, okay, they'll be like, I thought we moved past slavery. And they say, oh, it's modernized slavery now. I thought we moved past racism. It's colorism now. So then it's like, so then when I acknowledge, in America mainly, because the country does use like the concept of black and white, and I feel like mixed people really don't have a voice. People who are biracial, especially the ones who are biracial, black and white, no matter what the parent composition is it's not that they're in the middle. To me, I acknowledge it as a new human. You see in a sense where I don't want to say a new human, and it's certainly not with a negative connotation, yet it's not nothing that was universally had a place. Even still today, and like if you go to South America, I forget what country, it'll show, and it'll say Hispanic, Brazilian, so on and so forth, multiracial. In America, a lot of times in the surveys, it don't show biracial, mixed, or multiracial, mixed, or biracial. Don't show those. Don't have that as a statistic or option to acknowledge yourself. Excuse me. Yet separate from that is the consideration of me not giving myself any kind of nothing. I don't care what I post. I don't care what I look like. I'm not going the same way the person who was in the Dollar Tree store who had the shirt that read "I am not black." I'm with him. I'm not putting these stamps and labels. I can be used for it. Kudos. I live in an American system. Go for it. Yet at the same time, it's a consideration of like, okay, I don't put myself I always say this. I don't put myself above, better, or beside no person. I say I'd rather be looked down at than be looked up to. I'm not a person who deems myself worthy of being respected or seeks respect from no person at all. So then, yet then, when you get into, it's one thing social construct. It's another thing if it's culture. I don't know exactly, what entails of the NAACP. I don't even want to get into too much of a political space of expression. Yet the consideration is, when I acknowledge as a human being in America, and I see this pattern or this, it's one thing if black and white, and often of course, black and white get along great. Humans get along great. They say, I believe it's such of a thing where they're like birds of a flock fly together, and that would be used. Yet then I reflect and I say, I seen a duck right next to a cow at a person's day. There's a person who had like a mini farm or a mini, like in the house that had like a mini farm, and there was a cow eating grass, and there was a duck right next to it, and the duck, they best friends. The duck chilling. That's not a birds of a flock. That's a whole different species, and they side to side. So then, when I go on my social media, this is for example, it's like algorithms. So it's like how can we, it's not per se psychological manipulation. Yet it'll be certain patterns even within my algorithm. So I follow an artist. This happened yesterday. Follow an artist, Ivy the Four, or Ivy Four. She's a singer. I believe she's mixed or biracial. I'm on TikTok. I acknowledge her. It's been a while because I'm looking like, wait, did she? I was questioning if she deleted her Instagram. So I went on TikTok to see if she's on TikTok because I couldn't find her Instagram. So then I go on TikTok. I go to her page. And then I go to my Instagram. As soon as I open my Instagram, LaMelo Ball pop up. Boom. And I respect all people. So I'm not playing the American game. Not no colorism, not no racism, not no sizeism, complexion, nothing. I was born into the English language, so I'm able to acknowledge, express, articulate, observe, perceive. So I'm like, now why would that happen? Like, why would, how come it's like, so then they'd be like, okay, I can understand it, like, okay, we're the new gods, this is the new light. And then it'd be like, okay, and it'd be like, saturate. How can we, saturate what we deem as gods? Whether how America works sometimes, if they say whether it be the Africans, the Egyptians, or even separate from that, doesn't matter. Black woman. One time I heard a person say, black woman is God, and our God is the God of war. And Uncle Tom said, God is white. I don't think he said white man is God. I think he said God is white. It really doesn't matter because in the Bible, I acknowledge it says, "Ye are gods." We are all human beings. It doesn't matter who was here first. We have a common ancestor. So if there's fishes, there's different fishes. What was the first fish? What was the first flower? What was the first insect? What was the first bird? There's so many birds. So for humans, like, and it'd be like, okay, this was the first human, or these were the first. It's like when we have a common ancestor. Birds, is different birds, yet they're still birds. Fishes and birds, they two separate things. Some birds won't even touch water. Some birds only eat worms. So then, now, like recently, and I'm not into no kind of, like the entertainment space, in the sense of, like, I don't play the games. When I say I don't care what I look like, I'm not a person that care about clout. I don't perceive what I look like. That's out of my control. I don't care about attention. I don't seek attention. I'm not insecure, though I'm not camera shy. Yet then, when it be like, okay, what what I consider the colorism, somewhat, don't mean to use the word so much, yet, when it's like, okay, we're going to measure up, light skins with brown skins, or we're going to measure up biracials with blacks. We're going to use the whites too. So we're going to take the Russian dolls, and then we're going to cultivate that, and then we're going to make like a Roy G. Biv or Roy G. Biv spectrum, and then we're going to categorize our people like this, and we're going to pin them against each other. Like you have for instance, Tory Lanez and Chris Brown. And like, not saying that they were pinned against each other, yet it was a similar thing where it'd be like, okay, I don't know if the Jack Harlow was after, it don't matter. So like it'd be like Justin Bieber and Jaden Smith, Shaw Moss and Jonathan Lipnicki. And I've seen maybe a similar thing done with my peers from high school. So it'd be like, and I don't want to be too American. Yeah, it's one of those things where they'd be like, okay, the black man is a target. Yet then it's like, you shouldn't have to. It's like, it's like Tupac was expressing in the interview. That's like me going to, like Suge was saying, it's like me going to the park and picking on my little brother because he getting cash now. Because he getting, so then it's one of those things where it's like, okay, or the consideration is rather, I think it's weird. You can't put too much power to the word adult. No, that's an adult. No, that's a human being, because I've met many people over the age of 40 and 45 years old, and then a teenager who presents themselves with more mannerism and maturity than people or person that's over 40 years old or 45 years old. How? Why? Because people are different. People grow at different speeds. People simply are different. Yet then I feel it's weird. I shouldn't even have to. I don't want to say I shouldn't have to. I just think it's a little bit weird because I don't compare myself to no person. No person. And I never will. So when I see the American system and you see it kind of incorporated, like, okay, it'd be like, all right, well, it's like, do you really feel good? Like, it's like, a person, it's like a police officer would feel, real, they have on, they have their shirts tucked, their gun and everything. So if they pull somebody over and they know they are the law and they know that they above the law, they'll feel real comfortable tasing somebody. They'll feel very comfortable starting an altercation. Why? Because the coat and armor that they're in. So then I can understand if a person has pride. A person can have the same way the concept, say it loud, I'm black and proud. I don't know. I respect it. I'm not the one, I'm black and proud, not no proud family, none of it. At all. This is not my language. Humans have been here before these concepts got crystallized. I'm not stamping myself to no American doctrine, social construct, none of it. Yeah, I respect it. So the same way to be like black pride could be white pride. They have gay pride. That's probably one of the loudest prides out. Yet then, so it's good to see people comfortable in their skin. Yet then it's like, if I feel like it's odd where it's one thing where it'd be like, okay, you got the Bloods and the Crips. And it'd be like Bloods, you'd be like Crips. And the Bloods would be red, the Crips would be blue. So then it'd be like, okay, you got, consider if it's black and white, then you got brown and tan. Consider tan like light skin and brown like black or whatever, however you want to. And then in America, it'd be like, okay, you people, or the way the algorithm, or the culture, or the cult, or the doctrine, or the ways of the society is image based, appearance based. I don't. So it's like, okay, I'm probably doing this video, I'm expressing this video, and 90, no, I don't say 90, yeah, anywhere between 50 to 85%, that's a black man talking. What about the person that was 10, 15 minutes away from Detroit City in a Dollar General, Dollar Tree, that had to forget the Egyptian eye. I don't even want to connect nothing African or nothing to it. I just want to acknowledge that the shirt read, I am not black. So I'm not following your social construct or your doctrine. I have a mind of my own. So then I think it's weird, and for me personally, And again, I could be wrong because I'm diagnosed with psychosis, and psychosis means a detachment from external reality, whatever that means. Or I'm exiled or whatever from the whatever whatever. So it's like, okay, the way I acknowledge it is, it'd be like, okay, you competing and or comparing and contrasting. My dad, my biological father, is a Marine vet who's had multiple houses, does real estate, multiple cars, owned a Ducati, a Maserati, family got money. The most money I'm 30 years old. The most money I ever touched was $20,000. That came from the government, Social Security benefits connected to my diagnosis, psychosis, or my psychiatric diagnosis. That wasn't my money. I didn't work for that money. I didn't earn that money. So then it'd be like, you really in competition with somebody or challenging somebody that you know broke and that you know being pimped. Do I care? Of course not. I can't complain because God, the creator, whatever you want to call it, I'm not blind. I'm not blind. I'm not blind. I can walk outside and I can see the birds and I can see the trees and I can see the sun and I can look. It's people that's blind. I'm not deaf. I love music, especially and certainly even music that don't have lyrics. I listen among chants. I'm not deaf. I can listen. Why am I going to feed any type of insecure or competitive or any type of acknowledgement into what I witnessed in this country or in the algorithm or one thing or another as a human being, knowing again and again in the beginning of the video, colors blind the eyes, colors blind the eye, sounds deaf in the ear, flavors numb the taste, gives up all concepts, judgments, and desires. I don't desire to be acknowledged, not by a woman, not of anything. If I talk to a woman, if I'm direct with a woman, I could come off flirting because I'm being direct. I'm not flirting. I'm comfortable with people. I work 29 to 5 jobs. If I say your hair looks nice, your nails look nice, I'm not seeking nothing in return, not even a response. I'm just acknowledging and expressing myself. So then it's kind of weird. Like if I go on social media and maybe people acknowledge my page or pages, even though I don't have no more than 300 followers or 400 followers, and then it's like a measurement or litmus test of something to, okay, there may be, okay, I'm not going to finish that ramble or that blabber yet. The consideration is, and when I was in school, middle school, high school, I wasn't the one that had the nice clothes. Yes, I know how to dress. I barely, I wore what I wore. I was focused on my school, my academics, my sports, my athletics, and any extracurricular, whether it be band or whatever it was. And then I have my social life, whether it be, sometimes I have a quote-unquote girlfriend. Does it count when you're 13 years old, 14, 15, 16? You know, I wasn't even sexually active until about 17. I do these things. So I was focused on my academics. I was focused on my school. I was focused on my athletics, my teammates, my peers, chilling. The consideration is, I never tried or wanted or cared to or had a thought about fitting in or being popular. When I was growing up, I never thought about being on TV, ever. I never thought I want to be on TV. The one time I thought about being on TV, I was like no older than 9 years old. I was probably 7 or 8. And it was like 2002 or 2003. And it was like the old TVs that had like the big old trunk in the back. And I pondered, I was like, if I climbed in the back of the TV, can I like kind of like what you would see on Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory where it was all over the particles. I wasn't even thinking about that. I just like, if I got in the back, climb the TV. Then I was like, nope. That was the only time I thought about being on TV, on some crazy stuff. So then, you know, in recent years, ever since I go back to maybe 2021 or 2020 sharp, I would have my ponders and my things about how I want to do YouTube and be a YouTuber. Not DDG, not big YouTuber, just a YouTube content creator. I don't care if my content got 5 views, 10 views, 1,000 subscribers, or 20 subscribers. Just wanted quality content. Yet then I moved so much. 29 to 5 jobs, 3 different high schools, 5 different states, living, moving every 2 to 4 years. So if I wanted to, be a content creator, I want to be consistent, not so I can build, yet so I would. The consideration was want the quality to be at least decent. I don't need to do edits the same way I'm speaking. This is my way of doing it. I have this for years. I told myself since 2020, 2021, if I were to be a YouTuber, I want to be able to just talk into the camera. I don't need to do edits. I don't need to do lectures. I just want to have a certain, method, and I want to post once or twice a week, or at least once a week. Yet, ever since 2020, 2021, I can't see 3 months ahead. I can't see 6 months. I can't see 9 months. I can't see 1 year of stability because my environment has always been unstable. I have always been unstable. So I'm not going to try to play keep up with the Joneses and compare and contrast with the complexionists. like on me. No, it's kind of crazy because so I'm like, okay, I don't care what I look like. I don't care what I sound like. So when I go on my social media and I see sexism and I see colorism, I see more colorism than I see racism. If that makes sense. I don't know if it's a concept of complexionism, yet that's what's being used. And it's like that's done because I don't know what that word means. I just be saying it. Yeah, because they say birds of a flock fly together. So it would make sense. Like I respect it. Again, like I said, like I respect community. I respect unity. To each his own, or to each his own. So all these things, it's not to make a problem of. It's just okay. You get to a certain point of evolution, and then you got NBA teams, NFL teams, WNBA teams, volleyball teams, all these athletic teams. And what do they have on the teams? White people, Americans, even outside the country. Black or, it don't matter. When you see like a football team, they got different ethnicities on it. You see a basketball team, there's different ethnicities on it. You see a WNBA team, there's different ethnicities on it. You see a volleyball team, if I didn't already say, there's different ethnicities. So then it'd be like, okay, these are your teammates, right? So the thing about it is, when it comes to the space of, there's no concept of fansmanship. So there's a such thing as sportsmanship, just like in work, it's customer service. Management can be a little bit here and there work, Yet then it's just like it's sportsmanship in sports. It's customer service in the working field. Yet then, so that's where my consideration is. Like I will never in my life, as long as I breathe, seek to be popular, seek to fit in. I'm not about to try to look one way or another for no female, certainly not for a male. I said I don't put myself above, better, or beside no person. I never will. I'd rather be looked down at than be looked up to. I don't deem myself worthy of respect. That's not me being insecure. That's like me saying I ain't like spoken reason. I feel like have people, they do have, want to have some, for instance, for example, some women would feel very uncomfortable, maybe even feminists, be very uncomfortable being sexualized. You're a womanizer. You're this, or I don't like when a man look at me that way, or make this slur, or say this expression. Yet then, and then it'd be a whole bunch of women like, yeah, I don't like men because they're always sexualizing. And they become a community. Yet then it'd be other women, and they want to have sex appeal. They want to have sex appeal. They want to feel attractive. They are looking at the women that's in music and entertainment and looking at them as a model for what beauty is and what, this should be like or what that should be like. So then I'll be like, again, I can't really feed into it. And it's not like, okay, I'm going to shut off my social media because they doing too much competition, comparing and contrasting and so on and so forth. I'm not insecure. I don't want to use the word insecure yet. I'm not really. I can't get in my feelings. I can get irritated, and then I'll be like, 14 seconds. It took you 14 seconds to piss me off again. And I have like a little whole bunch of cussing and record. Like, so and I get to blabbering and a whole bunch of profanity and this mother got country grandma got these kick rocks and goddamn each and so on and so forth. Get on my nerves, irritating, so on and so forth. Yet am I in my feelings? No. Do I feel hate? No. Impossible. I'm not about to play these American West. I'm not about to play these American games. I don't. And they be like, join. I remember Russ Evan, Paramount Express. If you can't beat them, join them. That's dumb. One of the earliest things I was assigned in elementary school was a peer mediator. I'm not about to get into a field when I've been, a student athlete for a handful of years, and all I know is good sportsmanship, teamwork, and genuine customer service. So I can be looked at with a side eye by a person I'm making money with or being creative with because his complexion different. I'm not playing none of these American games at all. Yet I don't have a problem with it because I'm not black. You can use me. This country can use me as black or African American. However they operate the American system or the culture or the social construct, whatever. Cool. You can use it how you want to. Paint the picture how you want to. I see Picasso. In my eyes, it's Picasso. When I look at, I don't care what woman. I don't care what the woman look like or if you look at the Picasso paintings and it's like this and like that. Okay, go outside. Look at the trees. Look at the mountains. Look at the clouds, and it's like this. Formless, like Bruce Lee. Be shapeless. Formless, like water. Not gonna crystallize. Nothing. So I'm just saying I think it's a little bit odd. Like, I'm not understand, like, being competitive. Like my aunt told me at one point, she had cooked some food. She was cooking food, and she was like, I'm competitive. Like she just expressed the sentence. I don't know where it came from. She said, I'm competitive. I'm not. So I'd be like, okay, like if you want to use as an American system, if you want to use what you label and what you indoctrinated as black and African American, if you want to use that as a stepping stool to generate new generation or new life, yet I'm not speaking, like Tupac said, I can't speak for every black man. I'm speaking as a human being, born into a country that uses the English language that's called America. It's not my language. It's not my country. It's not my nothing. It just so happens I was born at this time, so I'm speaking from the space that has had an influence over me since I was born, that I grew up in. Otherwise,